The Honourable Member for Nelson in reply.
Thank you, Mr President, and thank you to the members who've made contributions on the motion. I very much appreciate it. Particularly also congratulations to the member for Hobart who has made her inaugural address in relation to this motion also, and thank you for the support expressed for it from her. I appreciate that members have made very thoughtful contributions actually and raised some really good points. I do want to just speak up on a couple of things as I wrap up, but won't dwell on it too long. None of us argue about the fact that we need to be developing and progressing to a therapeutic model of care for our youth justice system, and then that as the leader said, we have one chance and we want to get it right. Of course, we all do. But it doesn't mean that we can't be doing more with greater urgency in the meantime, because it's simply too clear to us from all evidence that AYDC is not a safe environment, and it doesn't matter the extent to which the government gets up here and makes a list of things that are being done. If they can't stand up here and guarantee 100% that no child is being abused there in the ways that were so explicitly detailed in the Commission of Inquiry report, if you can't get up here and say, we guarantee that's not happening now, it's not a safe place. The Commissioners made it really clear. They regarded it as an unsafe environment. The as soon as possible timeline is incredibly problematic. This motion isn't about closing Ashley, and so this is just being mentioned in passing really. It's about, okay, we can't move to a fully redesigned system yet, but we must get people out in the meantime. There's urgency to that, and as soon as possible isn't good enough for that. Interim measures should be undertaken with much greater urgency. COVID taught us, Mr President, that when the urgency is there, we can stand up responses to all manner of incredibly complex and sensitive things like that at the drop of a hat, which isn't to say we rush into it. But if we actually felt the same urgency here, if we had the Minister and the government actually feeling that they cannot risk another child being abused for another day longer in that facility, they would be making different choices now. They would be genuine choices made with urgency. So I just want to make that point very, very clear. It's not good enough to keep pointing to as soon as possible. And this is a very mild motion because it's not about closing the facility. It's about what we do in the meantime with much greater urgency. The community sector is critical, and plainly they have been ignored for far too long, while offering with heartfelt desperation, actually, to assist in this interim time. It's not good enough to list safety upgrades that have apparently been made at Ashley Youth Detention Centre, and I suggest that the Minister and the government go away and think really carefully before they make lists like that and bring it to this place or the other place and tell us what's being done. I think every time they make that list and read it out, they have to actually be able to say, and with this we can guarantee no child's being raped in that facility. If they can't say that at the end of that list, then they should stop saying that list and they should get the children out of there. I particularly appreciate some distinctions and some discussion brought to this place by the member for Rumney with some of those carefully made points that the motivation for putting children in isolation is irrelevant because the impact is the same regardless of why we did it, and that's true. Every time we are putting children in isolation in that place, we are breaching their human rights. The UN have told us that, and every oversight body in this state has told us that. We are breaching their human rights, full stop, regardless of why we do it. Mr President, I appreciate the points made by the member for Murchison, that indeed we should be warned about not glossing over this, that it isn't okay to say today there are fewer numbers in there than there might have been a week ago or 2 weeks ago, because just as easily in a week's time or 2 weeks' time there could be more. And with a government who is every day in a newspaper somewhere in this state celebrating a tough on youth crime approach being taken, we know more children are simply being driven there at the moment through that policy position that the government is choosing to take. So while it's fine for the government's contribution today, and I know it's not the leader's choice to do it, but fine to get up and list the numbers there today, and to list the fact that the custodial inspector happens to be visiting and whatnot, all the other things, that's all well and good. Tomorrow might be a different story, next week might be a different story. Those are not things we can rely on to know with confidence that every child there is safe. We just can't. So anyway, I appreciate that the government noted the motion and didn't oppose the motion in its contribution. I appreciate that. Even if it means the government's not supporting the motion, I appreciate that tenor taken to at least note it rather than oppose it outright in their contribution. It's a well-intentioned motion. It is pointing, as the member for Murchison said and the member for Romney, is pointing to working together, but with much greater urgency and accepting the help that's on offer. That's what it's calling on the government to do. So there's nothing negative in that call. It's an encouragement, it's an exhortation to please do better. So thank you to the members for their contributions. There will be much more to say on this matter, and certainly through the Commission of Inquiry Committee that has been set up, but also no doubt other mechanisms in this place. And I, for one, will be regarding it as an utter priority from here on in, Mr President. It is on our watch, as I said in my contribution to the motion, for all of us here. Everything that happens now, every step forward or not, is on our watch. Every child in that facility, every instance in which a child is abused in that facility is on our watch.